Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I've got Laxman on the line. Say hello, Laxman.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Ken.
So today what we're going to show is how to rehost a traditional WebSphere application onto OpenShift with no changes at all. Managing a large application environment can be challenging. The cost to operate is high. There are sometimes unmitigated faults that can cause chaos, and at scale, it can be rather tedious. By simply taking our application and rehosting on OpenShift, we can benefit from the ease of use, reliability, and scalability that a Kubernetes platform like OpenShift offers. So, without further ado, Laxman, the floor is yours.
Thank you again, Ken, for this opportunity. And hello, everyone, again. Today, as part of this demonstration, I'm going to show you how easy, in 5-6 very simple steps, is how easy it is to deploy a traditional WebSphere application on OCP on AWS Cloud Platform. OCP can be installed on your on-premises infrastructure, AWS, Azure, GCP, or whatever your cloud platform may be. It's very easy to install OCP, and as part of this demonstration, we are focused on AWS infrastructure today. In AWS, there are multiple options available to provision your infrastructure. One of them is installer provision infrastructure. This is very, very simple process. Installer, OCP installer basically takes care of provisioning all your infrastructure. Or if you want, you can use the user provision infrastructure. In that case, if you have already provisioned your infrastructure, you want to deploy OCP on that platform, that can be done very easily as well. As part of this process, there are few prerequisites. You need to make sure that your AWS environment is set up, your account is enabled, you have your necessary access keys to provision your infrastructure. So once you have all that information, it's very easy to install or create a cluster in AWS. Here, I have 4 or 5 simple steps, as part of this OCP CLI. I'm running a command OpenShift install create cluster, providing my cluster name, and then providing the necessary information such as my AWS platform, my US East 2 region, and some of the other information. I have already set up my AWS access keys to access this particular environment. Once that is done, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to provision this infrastructure and create the necessary infrastructure run your OCP platform. And once the platform is ready, your cluster is ready, you can deploy your WebSphere application very easily. For the purpose of this demonstration, we are not going to provision the cluster again. We have already done, so I'm going to use one of the provision cluster for the demonstration purpose. So this is my console, my OCP console, where I can see the cluster I provisioned, and here are all the details related to cluster. As a logged in administrator, I can see various information. I have full control over my cluster over here. If I change my view to developer, and I have my traditional WebSphere application already deployed, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But I want to show you how simple it is to deploy it, any application on OCP. For this purpose, we're going to use the Docker file. One of the various options available within OCP deployment methods. This is where you provide your Git repo URL, and this is my application where, the traditional WebSphere application. This is the ER file. We haven't made any application changes, any code changes whatsoever. Here's my Docker file, which is, I'm retrieving the base image basically from IBM WebSphere traditional, repository here. And these are some of the other, Docker commands, which, are part of this Docker file. And then we have some, default configuration. Since this is a transactional application, it involves the database. We have now provided all the database configuration details as part of the configuration files, so that as an administrator, as an application deployer, you do not have to make any sort of changes or configuration changes within your cluster. So once that is done, you provide all that information. It will start creating the build and start deploying your application. Once the application is up and running, it will show you this topology of the application, something like this. And here you can see all the details. Since this application is already at running state, you can verify it's up and running. Now, once the application status or changes up and running, I can verify whether my application is accessible or running correctly. And here is my application. It's called hit count demonstration application. And you can see my application is, loading up correctly. I can, start playing around with the functionality of this application. And so one thing we want to demonstrate over here is this enterprise Java Bean. Since this is a transactional database, and we are storing the information in the database, and every time I choose this option, it starts incrementing the count. This concludes the demonstration of the application functionality. And back to Ken.
Thank you, Lakshman. That seemed extremely simple. Thanks for breaking all of that down for us as well, step by step. Well, as you've been able to see, it took us just a few moments to take a pre-built traditional WebSphere application without changing it whatsoever. We rehosted it on OpenShift, and now we can benefit from all that provides us. Thank you again for joining us today. Until next time, take care.
Thank you, everyone.